el pensamiento o alguna posición oficial de este medio de comunicación.
ADR Networks presenta.
This is Celestine Angel.
And I'm Isaac Crouch.
And this is...
ForeignShow!
On the Foreign Show.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls everywhere? Welcome to that Foreign Show. I am Isaac Rakesh right here on ADR Networks, and I'm activating your senses. Welcome, one and all. All right, so now, ladies, guys, we got a very special guest that's going to come on later on. He's a good friend of ours here on the show, and he goes by the name of Retake. All right, we're going to talk to him in a bit. Before we get to that, I want to tell you guys a bit about what's happening on the Insiders segment today. Now, what you're looking at is a video that's about to drop from us, Illuminary. That's me, Celestine, and Carrick. It's a project that we have here, that we're based in the city, right? It's a project that we're doing here, a hip-hop project. We're really proud of it. And we have a video that is dropping, that we are dropping this weekend, right? It's a remix of Never Too Much. Okay, it's directed by Carrick. And as you see on the screen right there, you see that is the thumbnail that we have. Screen grab of what we, just to give you a little bit of what the video is going to be about. And yes, we're dropping that video this weekend, and we invite you guys to actually come on to subscribe to our YouTube channel, basically, right? David, can you put the YouTube channel up on our page? We can be found on YouTube at IU Illuminary, right? So the name of our project is Illuminary. That's ILL, it's a double LUMINARI, Illuminary, right? And our on socials we are RU Illuminary, right? So it's kind of like a call to action, inviting you to ask yourself if you are Illuminary, if you're a part of our family, if you support us, or if you feel those vibes as well. What kind of vibes am I talking about? Well, vibes of self-love, understanding who you are, positivity, spirituality, hip-hop, putting yourself first so that you can be of good service to other people. Putting yourself first is not in any way a kind of selfish notion. We like to think of the example of a plane going down, a plane about to crash, and when the oxygen masks come, when they're released and you're supposed to put them on, if you're with your family, you're supposed to put yours on first, right? So we kind of use that metaphor, that analogy with this idea of putting yourself first, understanding yourself, putting yourself first, your needs, your boundaries, so that you can help others. So that when you are in service to others, you're not actually a burden, right? You're not in that weird space of helping others because you need something from them, or things like that. Like all those kind of topics we kind of address, deal with, talk about, play with through our music. You know what I'm saying? So we have a few albums out on Spotify, right? But those albums that are out from previous eras, previous kind of like phases of our musical journey. Right now, we are in a phase where we are kind of doing everything in-house. We're doing the music ourselves, the visuals ourselves, and our live show. We've curated the whole thing ourselves, so it's kind of a part of our or stage of our process that we are really, really kind of proud of, and we invite you guys to come on, be a part of this journey that we are on. We just crossed the 500 subscriber point on YouTube recently. As you know from our previous episode, we were talking about that as well. So we're really happy about that. And we are going along that same line and inviting you guys to, if you haven't already subscribed to us on YouTube, subscribe to us. And David, if you can, put the YouTube channel up on the page so that people can see. Or, you know what? Let's take a commercial break right now. And we'll come back. I'll talk to you guys a bit more. And also talk to you guys a bit more about this song that we're going to drop. Never Too Much. Commercial break time. Peace.
We are going to a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
On the Foreign Show.
Hola, soy Hanna de la Madrid y te invito a que todos los jueves en punto de la 1 de la tarde nos acompañes en el programa Psycho Mom. Estaremos hablando de temas de actualidad y los retos que enfrentamos las mujeres en nuestro día a día. ¿Por dónde? En ADR Networks, activando tus sentidos.
Hey guys, we're back at TFS. Thank you for staying with us.
On the Foreign Show.
All right, guys, I guess we're back. Can you hear me? I don't see myself, but let me fix this. Here we go. Yes, all right. Now, guys, David, can you put the YouTube channel up on the page so that people can see our channel? And I'll tell you guys a bit about Never Too Much. Now, Never Too Much is actually a cover song, right? And we've taken that song, we've kind of remixed it with our flavor. We put in some of the elements that make us that are part of us, part of our musical DNA, like some Asian elements, some of that hip hop stuff, we got the raps, we got the soul, and yeah, we really like this song. It's a dope song. It's a cover of a Luther Vandross track, actually, but of the same name, Never Too Much, and it's a love song, and it's also a self-love song. It's about putting yourself first and being the best version that you can be. It's kind of also in line with in the same vibe of our previous track, I Am the Money, which is all right, David, this is Retake's Instagram page. This is our guest who's going to come on, right? He can be found at _ridiculous, right? I'm going to be talking to him in a bit. But David, sorry, can you put up our YouTube page? Illuminaries YouTube page. Yeah. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, welcome to the show. That Foreign Show, this is the insider segment where we give you guys some tips, tricks, recommendations, suggestions, and things like that. And on today's episode, we're talking about the video drop that we're going to be doing this weekend. Illuminary, right? That's the hip hop group that we are a part of. That is our project. That's our baby, right? It's something that we are so proud of. Every day we're up and at it, with this. All three of us, myself, Celestine, Carrick, we come with the raps, we come with the soul, we come with the video stuff as well. So that's dropping this weekend. We want to invite you guys to subscribe to our YouTube page, right? And we can be found at RU Illuminati, right? Our YouTube page. And what you see on the screen in front of you right now is Retake's page. Now, Ritik is a very, very dear friend of ours, right? From Singapore, all right? SG represent. We're going to be talking to him about dating in Mexico, all right? A foreigner's perspective. Really interesting, all right? And, you know, it can be a wild ride, you know, and he's a comedian, so it is going to be a wild ride, all right? And I'm excited to talk to him, right? So I'm going to take another commercial brew. Okay, here we go. There we go. Right. Now, guys, what you see in front of you right now is the YouTube page to Illuminary. Okay. That's our project. We want to invite you guys to subscribe to that page if you haven't already done so. We really appreciate it. We're lining some things up. We got some exciting stuff coming up, right? We released "I Am the Money," the single. You know, people kind of, you know, they dig the vibe. They like the title. You know, the reception that we got was very encouraging for the track, for the single release. Now we got "Never Too Much," and we have another track coming up soon that is going to be a part of a visual project that we're putting together. And I don't really want to say much more than that. So in the meantime and in between time, please subscribe to us on YouTube at IU Illuminary. We can be found on Instagram also at IU Illuminary. And so I'm going to take a break right now, and I'm going to be coming back with Retake. Peace.
We are going to a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
On the Foreign Show.
Hola, soy Hanna de la Madrid y te invito a que todos los jueves en punto de la 1 de la tarde nos acompañes en el programa Psycho Mom. Estaremos hablando de temas de actualidad y los retos que enfrentamos las mujeres en nuestro día a día. ¿Por dónde? En ADR Networks, activando tus sentidos.
Hey guys, we're back at TFS. Thank you for staying with us.
On the Foreign Show.
Yeah, we are back. And let me answer this question real quick. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be talking to Retake, all right? And we're going to be talking about dating in Mexico, a foreigner's perspective. And, you know, we're also going to talk a bit about, I'm not gonna spoil a surprise for you guys. Oh, that was yo, what's up, man? I didn't even notice you there.
I was already here.
Yeah. What's going on, man? What's going on? I mean, welcome, brother. Welcome to the show. Welcome to that foreign show. Yeah, here on ADR Networks. Yes. Yes, man. Yo, well, good to see you. And yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute. Why don't you bring us up to speed with what you've been up to? As you guys know, Retake is he's coming. This is season 2 for him. He's a returning guest. All right. Actually, you've been on twice, right?
No, this will be my second time. The first time, I think we talked about being an entrepreneur or doing your own business here in Mexico. I think so.
So it was like no joke. So it was a serious thing the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dating is not serious, so clearly.
Yes, and I believe that first time you came down to our old studio, right? It was right. Okay, so what do you tell us? What have you been, involved in anything new and exciting recently?
Yeah, I mean, quite a few things. Unfortunately, I closed my business down, but what I've realized is that is also a very important lesson, knowing when to quit, and at the same time, how to go about doing it correctly. Because you have a team around you. How do you break the news? How do you make sure that you're able to take care of your investors and your team correctly without breaking any relationships? Those things also very, very important learning lesson. And then how do you continue beyond that? Finding a job, or do you think about starting a new company again? those kind of things have been sort of swirling my mind. I think I'm very lucky in that sense where I was able to land a job rather quickly within like a month and a half after I shut down my company. And I'm very privileged to be working alongside such smart, brilliant people who, bring me up on a daily basis. And yeah, I mean, to that end of the point of this particular segment as well, I've
No,
been
let's
dating
go
around as
into that.
well.
We one of the things we want to actually get into are like firstly is the cultural differences, right? Yeah, between let's say where we are from and here, right?
Yeah.
But maybe let's get into that. With respect to the point you just made about like breaking bad news to your team or just working with people or with a team in general. What do you think are like the differences? Like that come to your mind over here and maybe back in Asia.
Yeah, I think fundamentally, it is very similar. Like you have to just have respect for the people around you, treat them with respect, and be as sort of transparent as possible. And as the leader of the company, at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. Whatever goes well, whatever doesn't go well, you just have to communicate it correctly. I don't think there's that much of a difference because this is such an extreme situation. Culturally or not, it is a very, very big deal that you've just told people that they're going to be out of a job, right? Because the company's shutting down. But on the other hand, I think if you're direct, you offer help and respect the people around you, there's only so much that can be done. It's almost like ripping off the Band-Aid. If you continuously fester and itch at your wound, it's just going to make things worse. But if you do it correctly, it'll heal with time. Same thing.
Yes, and it's not like the people here are okay with being fired, as opposed to
Yeah.
man. It's like I mean, yeah, it's like it's really interesting because the first time we spoke about, like you said, we were talking about business and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I introduced you earlier also as being a comedian, So so there are these two things, and there are these two things that are two aspects to yourself, right? And maybe can you tell the people a bit about your how you actually, I wouldn't say balance these two things, but how are these two things, how do they play into
Hmm.
your time here or your activities here?
Yeah. I think on the surface, you would think there's such sort of extremely different, like being like a finance tech guy during the day and then sort of being like a comedian at night. Um, Most of the time, yeah, they are very different in that sense, but there's still a lot of overlap in that sense. You still have to interact with people. It's just on a different sort of level. And the way I think about comedy for me is it's almost like therapy or meditation.
Okay, all
Right?
right. Uh-huh.
It's almost like I'm going up on stage, things that have been bothering me or stupid things that have come to my mind that I can just tell people, and if they like it, they laugh, and you kind of get that feedback, and it feels fantastic. And even if they don't, you know that you've gotten immediate feedback. Unlike any other job in the world, in stand-up comedy, your feedback is literally immediate.
Immediate. Right. Okay. And would you say you have an advantage? Like, I mean, you have to have some kind of emotional sensitivity, right? I mean, as you're doing your as doing a stand up set and everything, that will kind of translate also into your work, right?
Exactly. I think
And
it
yeah.
helps build empathy, being thick-skinned. If let's say you have to give a presentation in front of your company of, I don't know, 50 people or something, and you've been booed before on the stage, things suddenly become in perspective, and you're able to like, yeah, that's fine. I already have the numbers. I just have to talk through stuff. So it kind of, and it gives you a lot of empathy towards people as well, because when you don't do so well on stage and as a comedian, and other comedians come up to you and they're like, hey, look, don't worry about it. Let me buy you a beer. We'll be fine. That sort of character building translates directly on your day to day as well. Where if, let's say, you see somebody is not exactly performing or needs guidance, you're the first one to get in there and help them. It's just becomes part and parcel of your book.
I've seen a few of your sets. I haven't seen you bomb yet, or anything like that. Close to that. So,
Because I only invite you for the ones where I don't.
right, right. Well, the last one you actually did it in Spanish, like the
That's
whole
correct.
thing in Spanish, which was like, which is really cool, And first time seeing you do your thing in Spanish, and yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting kind of combination, also, right? Like to have that as a, I mean, since we're talking about the whole business, um, that coming from the whole business angle and everything. How I think of it is if I'm working with someone, say my superior, right? For example, say my superior, right? And I know he's good at his job. I mean, he's really well respected and in the company and everything. Plus, he's a stand-up comedian, right? So there's this added kind of thing there, like I don't- almost like a trap, man. I there's a joke in here somewhere, like a
Yeah.
trap. You're thinking like, hey, the dude's gonna be all like, not so serious and stuff, but actually he's on his game. He's
Right.
sharp, right? Because he's right. Can you tell us about that? Like maybe what kind of fascinated you about stand up comedy, and what kind of what gives you the juice?
Right. That's a very good question. I think a lot of things in life, when you sort of kind of good at them, especially as a young person, you naturally gravitate towards certain areas. Like, for example, like I really loved math when I was growing up, right? So it just was a bit easier. I could do it well, and I moved towards that, and that's what I ended up studying. Same thing with comedy. I was just like the funny kid in class, and it just kind of sort of gravitated towards it. And of course, there were challenges initially where you can't be the funny guy within your group and also be a comedian, because those are two different things. How do I translate that? That was a challenge. Doing it in a language
Right.
or in front of people that didn't understand English, that was a challenge. But it's those kind of things where if you have not even a natural affinity, but like you just enjoy doing something, you find a way. Like on the reverse side of it, if somebody asked me to design a PowerPoint or an app or something, it's something I'm not naturally drawn towards, nor do I have a lot of affinity towards. It'll take me 5 times the effort to kind of do an average job versus somebody that's naturally has a affinity for it. So the juice, in my opinion, just really comes from that fundamental affinity for things that you like, and the opposite is also true.
Let's go into that a bit, because like you mentioned something really interesting, and maybe you can also give the people a bit a history about yourself. Like you said, there's a difference between being the comedian and the person who is actually the one who gets all the attention, or maybe the popular person, right? So there's actually a difference there.
Yeah.
and, and that's really cool, because I think like stand-up comedians have jokes aside, right? There's a truth that they are kind of always hitting on, right? Can you tell us a bit about that, and also maybe tell the people a bit about like like, hey, so naturally you've always been the person in the classroom who's making the jokes, right? Like, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'll start with the second one. I think it just kind of came personality wise, just very extroverted since the beginning. I mean, it's also very common in Indian culture. Indians tend to be extroverted, right? It's just a thing. Very
Right.
loud mouthed, right? And I just had
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
additional, like, no filter on top. So I'll just say a bunch of stuff, and people found it funny. I was like, oh, okay, this could be a kind of like a niche. It's how I enjoy interacting with other people as well as making them laugh. So that just sort of led into at that point of time I didn't even know that you could make money off of of just being the funny guy, right? And then Russell Peters really blew up
Yes, sir.
in Singapore, and that kind of made me sort of really try things out. Like, maybe I should have a set. What is a set, right? And post, I think during college or something, that's when more sort of comedy clubs started popping up in Singapore. That wasn't really a thing either. So trying it out. And the first time it went well, the next 10 times was just absolute dog shit. So to continuously kind of keep going, keep testing, keep trying, that's something, again, I think if you fundamentally like something, you're more likely to just push through it versus something that you may not be so good at or be attracted to in the first place.
Yeah, and you also stick with it, right? Kind of like even if you're failing and you kind of stick with it. Yeah. Be a man. That was like the first one, right? Like the be a
The right
man.
thing.
Like yeah. And so wow, okay, that's incredible. So Russell Peters was like the. Would you say that was your first kind of like like inspiration, or maybe
Absolutely.
who are some of the other people that have kind of inspired you along the way?
I mean, I think just like your taste in music, movies, your taste in comedy changes as well. Russell Peters was just insane. For somebody to bring so many different cultures and races together and make it so funny, that was unheard of at that point of time. And given that Singapore is such a melting pot, that was such an easy way to sort of get into the whole like comedy stuff. And then eventually, as sort of grew and whatnot, I really started liking people like Andrew Schultz, Louis C.K., Bill Burr, and some of the local comedians as well, like Alex Fernandez. He doesn't swear in his act, which is in Mexico so difficult because people expect you to do that as a comedian. So to continuously make people laugh with as clean comedy as possible, that is very difficult. Just like being able to do in Spanglish. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's cool, but he doesn't even say like no mames.
I'm maybe, but very little to like no swearing. Which is very fascinating, very very fascinating, and you'll realize there are like so many different niches of comedians as well. There's like the physical comedy, there's like the slapstick, there's the dry humor. So in that sense, where do I belong there? Do I make my own niche? Those are also the kind of things that you think about, and I think again I've been very lucky, very privileged in that sense, almost where I had that lens of a foreigner in Mexico where, with me being the butt of the joke, I could question people here like, why do you do XYZ? Why do you say XYZ? That ends up making people laugh, but also go like, ha ha ha, wait, hold on. Like that moment, that's the kind of ending I want with all of my jokes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of your set, we always going like we're repeating your jokes. The other time with a bunch of us, we were like Fila de India, and I don't want to give your jokes away, but yeah. But anyway, big shout out to Russell Peters, right? Like he's one of the definitely one of the
OGs.
dudes, one of the OGs, yeah, for sure. And in Singapore, like now just looking back and thinking back, that like there are a few, Gurmit Singh.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Gurmit Singh. Like he's been doing his thing, and his own brand of humor.
That's great.
And he came to mind also because actually he kind of does kind of the similar thing to Russell Peters, in my opinion, right? Like he makes fun of the races. He goes into characters where there's like like Phua Chu Kang. Phua Chu Kang is like the man. Phua Chu Kang, the man with his yellow boots and stuff. And then some other dudes also. Kumar is another dude who has been doing it. Like I remember the Rara show quite some time ago. Remember the Rara show and this stuff, and also Moses Lim. Nah, I just want to mention also, R.I.P. Moses Lim. Under One Roof.
Yeah,
Under
was he the
One
dad
Roof.
in Under One Roof?
Yeah, he was the dad. Yeah,
Yeah,
Moses Lim
yeah,
is no Tanatik, right? He was
correct.
Tanatik, that
That's correct.
character.
That's
And
correct.
yeah, wow. So actually, comedy, if you really think about it, is something so, like you said, like it's like taste in music, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
personal.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own favorites and stuff, and things like that. But I want to talk a bit about maybe that thing where you said you want people to laugh at your stuff, but then also go like like to kind of have a bit of an existential kind of moment, like, oh wow, like, okay, like to just make them think, right?
Yeah,
And this dude, Bill Hicks,
yeah,
um
very
like
funny.
yeah, we were talking about him the last time, right? Like that dude is like, can you tell us a bit about like about him, your opinion, and about comedians like him, and do you feel like stand-up comedians can go too far with the kind of,
Hmm.
like him going play from your heart, and all that kind of, like, like going trying to push people a bit too much.
I mean, I think especially when you're first starting out, it's like learning a subject. You don't know what are the limits, what are the boundaries. You're just there for your curiosity. And as you sort of change, evolve, that's when you kind of have that. And that's, like I said, it's the one job in the world where the feedback is instant. So you may think that this is funny, and then the audience helps to kind of temper things. In my opinion, there should be no limit to comedy, in that sense. If you make a good joke, that there should be no reason for you not to talk about anything. But if you make a bad joke, then yes, you deserve to be shit on, right? At the end of the day, it's about being funny first, and then everything else. So if you're not funny and you're just trying to be edgy, people are going to catch on to that, and you're not going to get very far. But if you're funny and also edgy, then that's a different sort of mix altogether.
Can you give us some example, like someone trying to, like, just, you mean like trying to be cool, right? Trying to be like
Oh
my
man.
jokes are the shit, or something like.
I mean, at the top of my head, Joe Rogan, he's very good at everything else.
Yo,
He's not a good
why you do
comedian.
Joe like that, man? Yo.
Just because the both of us look
Oh
like Joe
man.
Rogan doesn't mean you need to vote him in.
A big shout out to Carlos Mencia.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
no, 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 oh,
I
man.
mean,
Yeah, but okay,
don't get me
okay.
wrong.
I
I have
see.
a lot of respect, and I think he's had the career. Everybody would want that. He's so influential,
Yeah, yo, that dude. He
but he's
he he
not a good
deserves his
comedian.
own. Sorry to cut you out. What did you say?
But he's not a good comedian. It's a fact.
Yeah, I was gonna say he deserves his own lane, right? Like,
Right.
the whole. If not for him, I think UFC. People would be
Yeah.
like, maybe they would have experimented with, like, not even having commentary at all. Can you imagine that
Mhm.
stuff? Can you imagine like music over the UFC stuff, just to make it
Or
exciting and everything?
or podcasting. Podcasting would not be the same. Nobody would be doing it as much just because of the path he's laid out for people. So that is insane.
But
He
not a
just
good comedian.
created. No, I mean,
Okay,
I
okay.
mean, it's not my. I mean, of course, it's also my opinion,
Yeah,
but at the
yeah.
same time, he's like, there's a point where there's public opinion is that kind of obvious that
For
you
sure.
need to do
Yeah.
things differently.
And I think this it's a good moment to ask this question, right? Like, what makes a good comedian? And I think, if you have a kind of like be a man kind of thing, that people can actually remember, and like a hit, right? Then I think you're, something has really crossed over, right? Like,
Right.
can you remember any Joe Rogan?
None.
Kids.
Exactly. Exactly. Like
Mm.
he has the thing where he will climb on top of a chair
Oh,
and
I saw that one. Yeah, the
hump it.
demon thing,
Exactly.
disturbing, right?
Yeah, that's like he tends to do that quite often, but it's not exactly that memorable, and it's not that sort of, where you're like, oh my god, this was so funny, I can't wait to tell it to other people, or try it in front of other people, right?
Yo, and then he can you imagine? Can you imagine doing that at a table or something?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, man. Okay, since we have you on, and you're professional, at what you do. Why don't you can you take us backstage? Maybe into like
Mm.
the process. Like how does it happen, man? These jokes. Are you kind of like looking at life with a kind of filter also, or how does it happen, or do you actually sit down and be like, hey, I'm gonna write some jokes now?
Yeah, very good question. If I was doing this as a full-time job, I would have spent X number of time or hours or whatever a day just writing, because it's also almost like a numbers game, where like you just write a bunch of gibberish and then eventually you just kind of go like, hey, actually, if I combine this, and then suddenly something happens. I don't do comedy as a day job, so I have a bit more leeway, less pressure. So usually, if something funny comes to my mind, or I see something funny, and how I can extrapolate that to my personal experience or things that I think people may like, that's when I kind of sort of maybe even write like the punchline and then sort of build towards how it should be. Like case in point, I don't know if you've heard me do like the barbecue joke.
No.
So the punchline essentially is that I like my sex just like how I like my steak, bloody, right? So that's the punchline that I wrote, which by itself is not, you can't say that, right? You got to build it up a little. So I start putting context on top of that, which is um,
Mm.
having sex is a lot like having barbecue with your family or your partner's family. Why? Because it makes you feel good down there, goes well with some wine. Her dad's secret sauce is in it, and I like mine bloody, right? So you sort of,
Yeah, but
you
yo,
sort
that's
of
like
start.
wow. Okay, okay.
That's kind of like the process, and I will sort of workshop it in conversations that I have with people
Mm.
without telling them I'm doing a joke. So this way I get a natural reaction. It's kind of sneaky, should not be doing that, but I do it. And it
It's
helps to kind of get some sort of public opinion
maybe
outsourced.
you shouldn't have said that you do that, but it's great that you do that. Like yeah. I mean,
Right.
yeah, for sure, right? Like kind of testing it out in real life, kind of a context, right?
Yeah.
And if you take us back to like when did you those first moments when you were like entertaining, or maybe entertaining your
Mm,
classmates and stuff, right? Like
mm,
what kind of jokes were was it like because you mentioned different types of comedy, right? Like action, Jim
yeah.
Carrey making
Yeah.
faces, or in your case, I mean, my opinion of your when I look at your set and stuff, is like a bit of a combination, a bit of like playing with words, and
Mhm,
then so yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I wasn't that smart back then. It was just sort of, kind of like physical, or reacting to like, if let's say somebody said X, then because I didn't have a filter, sometimes still don't, I would just say something that came to my mind. It just was really fast and it was funny. So that was that
Mm.
was pretty much it. You know.
Okay, okay. Well, on this foreign show, it's been really really fun so far, and usually at some point on our program, we like to kind of pivot the thing internally, like we kind of like to talk about the person's what personal growth or something that we can all learn, and sometimes it goes to a place, or most times actually I would say it goes to a place of that is uncomfortable, because we have to be honest, right? And that's where growth happens and things like that. And since you're talking about comedy and stuff, like, can you tell us a bit about maybe the dark side of it? We hear things like, oh, dude's funny because he's trying to hide his pain,
Right.
things
Right.
things like that, in your case, like, maybe you can tell us a bit about that, like, where these things come from, you think, and yeah, your personal experience.
I mean, I think there has to be some level of approval seeking in your personality if you want to be a comedian, because nobody wants to get up in front of a bunch of people with a light shining on them and be like, yeah, this is comfortable. Now there has to be some level of being okay with that discomfort to seek approval. Absolutely. And that can come from several different sources, childhood trauma, existing insecurities, whatever. It's just how you choose to manifest it that sort of, I would say, is like some people, instead of doing comedy, they could go play a sport, right? My way of doing it is perhaps with comedy. And it's also an extremely competitive industry. So it's like in that sort of dark side, in that sense where you're always like, you've made funny your business. And that saying where it's like, when you make something, when you suddenly take your passion and it's used to put food on the table, it loses that magic. So it can get a bit depressing where you have to be funny all the time. There could be something happening behind the scenes, but you have to go to a show. You got to put your game face on and entertain the crowd. And it's brutal. Like, you could have to do like 3 shows a day, one in the afternoon, in front of a crowd that's not expecting it. Chinese New Year celebrations. There's so many different. I'm kidding. There's so many different situations, and you just kind of have to turn on. You just have to flip the switch. So it takes a while to get there. Also, I think especially if you're starting out, it can get a bit overwhelming. But I think once you kind of have that 10-15 minutes, which once you kind of study the crowd, will kill wherever. That, I think, is when you can actually start exploring other things. So like, my aim with comedy now is to do it in the most uncomfortable of situations possible, beyond just comedy clubs, and I'm very lucky because I know you guys that you are able to put me in this, like the one at the barbershop, the one at the Chinese New Year celebration. Like, I'm very, very thankful, and how do I say, like, I look forward to those, because that for me is like the true test of whether I can truly make people laugh. Because when you pay to go to a comedy show, you're expecting to laugh.
Right. Okay. Yo, no, but first, you're part of the TFS family, man. The foreign show here, and and we want to be a part of your journey also. Kind of showing people, how your thing, and that's a great point, right? Like, people who pay to actually go to a show is different, and it's kind of like, it's like almost like you're in the trenches, right? Like you're actually on the ground and testing your stuff, right? And to see if it how it comes across, whether it's Chinese New Year or
Or a barbershop.
barbershop. Yeah. Inappropriate moments, like the beginning of this podcast when we were talking about firing people, right?
Right.
And then we, it's like I was like kind of trying to keep my face serious, because it's not exactly not exactly a laughing, kind of a light topic. Man, there's so many things that we actually kind of wanted to talk about, but time is just flown by, right? maybe tell us a bit about the cultural differences in dating, right? Like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that, and yeah, and also yeah. Why do we get into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So to give some context as well, right? I was in a very long relationship, like 9 plus years. So I would say like most of my 20s, early 30s were in a relationship. So then all of a sudden I became single. So that is the kind of context that I'm working with as well. I think if I was successful at it, I would have had a girlfriend by now. So that's not happened. But so not
Yeah,
exactly the best person to ask for tips.
well, man. No, I think it's a perfect thing because we wanna kind of hear that perspective of
Right.
like of dating in a foreign country, or does that even matter? Like does that even matter? And also like is it even I mean, like you're concentrating on your work now, and you told me also that you started a new position that's more demanding and more responsibilities and everything. And dating, is it like how is it for you? Like, is it like, okay, now you gotta do that? Is another activity, or is it you know?
I think along with a lot of different things in the modern world, it requires effort. Like if you want to see results, it requires effort. Like working on yourself, right? There's no sort of magic pill that's going to make you look buff and fit, right? It's just a pattern. It's just that illusion of choice is a lot more now. It's like almost finding a job as well, where you may think like, "Wow, this is the perfect job for me," and you don't even get a call back from HR, right? And then something else comes up, and you end up being like falling in love with it with time, right? It's the same with dating. I mean, dating apps exist. I think, at least my opinion, it for me it's been a net negative than a net positive, because it gives that illusion of choice where you're like, oh, okay, wow, this person is lovely, let me hang out with them, and then after the date you had a good time, and then instinctively you open up the dating app and you're like, wow, look at this. So you just sort of start kind of focusing your attention somewhere else. So I try not to do that as much. And I think in terms of culture, there's quite stark differences between Singaporean and Mexican. Um, I think fundamentally people are looking for the same thing, a partner, a best friend, somebody they can grow old with. That doesn't change. It's how they go about doing it, which I think is different. So like in Mexico, you're not dating an individual, you're dating a family. So that's number one. That's the most important thing. So if, let's say, you are very much in love with this individual person, but uh, for some reason you're not gelling with the family, that will most likely lead to things not working out. Uh, I would say also, how do I say it? Like, Singaporeans are a bit more sort of in the middle, in a sense, like not so much like overwhelming love or overwhelming coldness, uh, as you could experience with, like, for example, Latinos. When they care about you, it's like, wow, you genuinely feel like a prince or a king. And
Right.
when they don't, you feel like a leper. You know what I mean? uh,
Okay, and that's very interesting, like about the whole like the family aspect to
yeah.
it. In Singapore, and I know you spent some time in Europe as well, right? Ma- is it that you just have to win her heart, or you just have to win her over, and the family is not. I mean, like, or
It's like
yeah.
by the time you're on like your third or fourth date, you're probably meeting some member of the family. Could be a cousin, could be a sibling, could be somebody that is related by that time. Nothing wrong with it. In fact, I think
Oh yeah,
me
no.
being a very family person, I kind of like that. You wouldn't have that in a Singaporean relationship till much later.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, and it's almost like yeah, they don't that happens later. Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
almost like, I mean, would you say that the here in Mexico they that happens, like you meet a person in the family almost cause they want to show you that side of who they are, and
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. And I kind of like that. When, for example, you're dating somebody, I would say like who's maybe American or Canadian, where, culturally speaking, at the age of 18, they leave their house, they're kind of very independent. You could probably only really see the family on like Christmas or Thanksgiving or something, and that's about it. Until maybe like you're married or something, that's when they become more part of your life. But before, it's never like almost like a knee jerk reaction to be like, oh, hey, by the way, we've been going out for the past few weeks. This Sunday, my family's having a lunch. You should come. It's almost like a initiation, and it's a very important aspect for people here to kind of have like, oh, I think he's nice. I think he's good to be around. That really helps you. Or if they go like, yeah, I don't know about him, then it sort of changes a little. And personally, I would do the same if, let's say, things were the opposite in that sense.
Right. I guess in a different, I mean, in other cultures like Europe or even Singapore, they kind of tend to do that with friends, right? Like,
Yes.
hey, meet my friends or something, and then
Yes.
the friends do the
Yeah.
vetting process, right?
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Can you
And
tell us? No, go ahead.
no. Go ahead. I didn't add anything.
Can you like what do you feel about, like you mentioned, like with the apps and everything, sometimes people you know um for lack of a better way of saying it, they're kind of spoiled for choice, right? Like, and they kind of, or they kind of entertain the fear of not committing because they tend to hold back, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what, like, in terms of, like, for you, do you kind of date in the kind of like career circles, like are
Mm.
you mostly talking to other expats and things like that, or how 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 do you feel it's been, or your interactions with non-expats,
Yeah.
things like that?
Yeah. No, very good question. So in terms of like career, like being part of like the startup world or the finance people, it's naturally kind of easy because you understand what you do. And for better or for worse, your career takes up quite a bit of your time. So if somebody can understand what you're doing and can empathize with it, and you can as well, then it makes you appreciate each other a lot better, a lot more as well. But that doesn't mean, I haven't looked outside. I think, again, I've been very lucky to have met people from all walks of life, be it sort of like musicians, Olympians, or actors, like more, or even on like the art side, or on the startup side. And I think everything has its own pros and cons. There are times where, like, for example, if you're going out with a musician, they're working at night while you're working during the day. How do you make that happen? Can you make that happen? And if, let's say, that fundamental attraction and that chemistry is there, you can find ways to make anything happen. Where I feel the sort of the spoil for choice comes in is that you're like, that 10%, I don't know. So might as well just screw this and find something that could be 95% or 99% there. And I've been guilty of that, absolutely. And it's not a good look. And you make mistakes and you learn. I think where you find almost that yin and yang, where you have somebody that's complementary enough that you keep things exciting, but on a fundamental level, you have chemistry, so it's great. Now, within expats, it's a bit easier also because, again, somebody's empathetic, sympathetic to your personal situation where they know
Right.
you're not Mexican, but you have been living here long enough to sort of have kind of that hybrid sort of thing. So sometimes if somebody's very Mexican, and I mean like I can't communicate with them in English, that presents a massive challenge. No matter how much we might be into each other, and of course I'll speak Spanish and whatnot, but if there are times where I can't express my emotions in English, it becomes very difficult. So that sort of those things, I think are like the sort of differences. With expats, it's a lot easier because they get both of the worlds in that sense.
Right. So let me ask you this: in those kinds of situations where there's a language barrier, right? Do you feel like it actually would be better if the person not just speaks your language but kind of really understands or is from Singapore, for example, and they get the even in the another layer of nuances,
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, no, absolutely. I think, like, for example, if somebody can kind of get the Indian nuance or the Singapore nuance, that's amazing. But I think if they're very Indian or very Singaporean, it becomes a bit harder because you've not, like, it's hard for me to explain the other third of my life. 'Cause I've spent like
Right.
what 10 years in Mexico, and if they don't get that kind of Mexican context or certain things that I just started doing because I've lived here so long, it becomes kind of like a bit harder to really take it. Of course, if somebody's open-minded and willing to kind of accept that sort of hybrid or that global citizen that I am
Right,
or
right.
whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
Then
for
it
sure.
becomes much easier to have that conversation. Somebody who's willing to travel. I think as simple as that, right? Somebody's willing to travel. Like,
Travel.
let's go to Colombia for a bit and just immerse ourselves. Let's figure it out. Somebody's open-minded like that, that's fantastic. If somebody's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go there, let's just always just go to Paris for some reason, or Malaysia or Thailand for some reason, then it becomes a bit harder to open that person to those kind of experiences I've had.
So in your case personally, what are you looking for actually? Like, are you
Mm.
looking for someone who is also a career kind of person with you, equal in that stance, on that aspect, and then kind of I know this is a very personal question. We can
Mhm.
skip it if you don't want to get into this. Like, cause you mentioned someone from Singapore is cool, but they might not understand the time that you spend here. But then
Mhm.
when I think about it, it's not just the time that they need to understand. They need to also understand like the growth or the changes that you've gone
Mhm.
through being here, and it's like it's very subtle and stuff, right? So how do
Mhm.
you kind of like, what's your frame of mind, like when you go into this?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. It's something that I've sometimes I think I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want. And then maybe a bit of time later, I'm like, I don't know if that's what I want. Like it's a moving target. Honestly, I think fundamentally what I'm looking for is, somebody who wants to build a family. Somebody who can handle my goofiness. Like the pros and cons of being a comedian. Like a lot of the times it could be a serious situation. I'll make a joke, right? Like
Right.
somebody who's okay with that and doesn't take themselves too seriously in that sense.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, my dog. There we go.
Hey, Oreo.
uh, he needs to be comfortable around that individual.
Right. For sure. For sure.
And he has moments where, like, if let's say he doesn't like the vibe of that person, I can tell now. And if he really
Wow,
likes
okay.
the vibe of that person, I can tell that as well. So it's like small little things. And I would say like somebody who's willing to embrace that kind of almost that hybrid kind of thing that I have, which is um, maybe at home I want to have home cooked Indian food. Are you okay with that? I don't know, right? But for some people, that could be a non-negotiable. They're like, I don't like to eat curry every day, right? That is a completely
For sure.
acceptable thing.
Yeah.
But I may want Indian food. Small little things like that, or like if let's say I don't know, like when I go to Singapore, um, being able to see Singapore from the eyes of a Singaporean versus a tourist. Those are two very different things. Being open to that, being able to kind of understand that uh, home is on the other side of the world,
Right,
while
right. Okay.
thing is, that sort of
Yeah.
almost that confusion, being okay with that. And I think in that sense, again, I've been very lucky where I've met people who have been very open, in fact, even excited, because it's like it's so out of the ordinary in that sense. But at times it can get tiring, because like, oh, now we got to go to Singapore. Now we got to do this Singaporean thing. Okay, now we got to do this Mexican thing. Oh, now we got to do this Indian thing, right? So it can get a bit exhausting where it's almost like wearing different hats or different personalities. So somebody who's okay or open with that, but fundamentally wants to build a family, is likes my dog, is okay. My dog is okay with them, and I think one fundamental thing which a lot of people don't like to talk about is money. I think one of the main reasons why couples fight is money, and I feel
You know
that.
what? With that point, sorry to cut you off, but bruh, we've come right down to
Oh,
the end of
oh,
the show. But that's such a good point that I want you to kind of just end on that note. Maybe just give us just end on that point, and then we want to invite you to come back on the show again and get into talking some more, bro. It's been really fun. It's been really fun. So
likewise, likewise.
yeah, so please go ahead. Yeah, we put up your Instagram page,
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, and David, can you put up Retic's Instagram page? Yes. All right. So yeah. So go ahead,
okay.
brother. Tell us about the thing you're saying about money, right? That's
Yeah,
a big one, right?
yeah. No, and the way I think about it is, in that sense, if the couple has very clear communication, where it's like, okay, as the guy, you go out, make all the money, I'll take care of the house. Or as the woman, you go out there, make the money, I'll take care of the. If there's very clear communication, I think that's fantastic. If there's unclear communication where somebody expects the other person to always be paying or to be okay with not making any money, I think that's where a lot of arguments happen. And um, I've been single, I think, close to almost 2.5+ years. So I'm a lot more direct about these things than kind of, dilly dallying or giving false expectations. Because it's way better to just be like, hey, I think I want us to split every bill. That way we
Right.
both save. And if we're truly into this, it will allow us to actually build our financial future together. If let's say somebody is making 50% of what I'm making, then we should split the costs this way. I think that clear communication is super important, because once you kind of reach a point of no return where you're like, oh, we're together, then suddenly those expectations are not met. It's a recipe for disaster.
Recipe for disaster, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's 'cause it's like a surprise, Like,
Correct.
hey, here's the bill, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah, yo, it's been really, yeah. That's a great one, and a very sensitive kind of thing also, no, right? To kind of, but a great tip, right? Like to just kind of just be upfront a bit about it. from the get-go. And there's so much more that I actually want to talk to you about, but we've come to the end right now. And it's been really fun, brother. And here on TFS, like I said earlier, we want to be, kind of with you on your journey, and want to invite you to come back on again another time on that foreign show. All right, I'm signing off right now. Isaac Rakesh on ADR Networks, activating your senses, and we've been talking to Retake. Peace.
A real pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you to all who joined us here on That Foreign Show. It's been awesome. I'm Celestine Angel.
And I'm Isaac Crouch, and we'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend, y'all.